In the following video, we will see some of the multiple tools available in TCP PointCloud Editor for CAD drawing. We work on a previously classified point cloud, in which we activate only the walls category to model the structure of the building. Using the app's drawing layer manager, we create a new layer for the floor plan. We give it a name and color, change the line weight, and set it as the current layer. Having the view in plan, we are going to draw a 3-dimensional polyline on the walls of one of the building's enclosures. We designate the vertices of the polyline above the point cloud. Close the polyline. Having drawn the polyline with reference to the activated point, we can see that the vertices of the polyline are at different heights. Select the newly drawn polyline, clicking on it, and then use the Grind Polyline tool to modify the dimension of the vertices. In the dialog shown, we set the appropriate parameters and options for each vertex of the polyline to take the dimension of the lowest point in an XY environment of the vertex. In this way, we get the polyline to be defined at the base of the walls. In the same way, we could delineate the rest of the enclosures present in the point cloud. The Raster Editor is another tool offered by the application for floor plan delineation. The Raster Editor window displays the image corresponding to a coplanar slice of the point cloud between 2 dimensions. We can load it into an existing drawing layer in the application, which will be displayed over the image of this editor. To improve the visibility of the polylines, we can change both the width of the lines and the thickness of the vertices. We observed that the imported polyline coincides with the walls of the enclosure. Using the Raster Editor's Polyline tool, we can draw new polylines over the image. We designate vertices with the left mouse button, and we move the image by holding down the middle button and moving the mouse. The Raster Editor provides options to enable endpoint reference and perpendicular reference. In addition to importing an app's drawing layer, we can also export the features shown in the Raster Editor to an app's drawing layer. The target layer can be existing in the drawing, or we can create a new layer. When we return to the main application, we can see how the polylines plotted with the Raster Editor are visible on the point cloud. We remove the ones we are not interested in, selecting them individually and deleting them. We select the plots with the Raster Editor, and using the Set Layer command, we pass these polylines to the floor plan layer. Next, we're going to set the same dimension for all vertices of the polylines. We achieve this by using the Flatten Entities command, which allows us to set the dimension value as a parameter. We can see in the viewer how in some areas the polylines of the floor plan are well below the points of the cloud. Once all the polylines of the floor plan have been drawn, we move on to drawing vertical elements. This time, we're going to model the windows on one of the walls of the building, so we set the Windows layer as the current layer. By activating the reference to plane, we can define a reference plane by 3 points. Once the 3 points have been designated, the viewer is placed in perpendicular view with respect to the created plane, and the entities that are drawn will be projected on that plane. We use the Draw Rectangle tool to draw the outline of one of the windows, designating just 2 points. Assuming the windows have the same dimensions, we select the newly drawn polyline and copy it. This allows us to make copies of entities, designating a starting point and one or more endpoints. The copy will also be contained in the reference plane that we have active. We disable the map reference and check that the windows are indeed correctly located on the point cloud. To model the walls of the building, we select the polylines that define the floor plan and place them at a level below the point cloud. Next, we're going to copy the different polylines and adjust them to the lowest points in the point cloud. To do this, we make use of the copy command seen above, activating the full stop and full stop references so that we can designate the start and end points. We select the newly copied polyline and assign it to the walls layer. To generate lines and polylines that model the enclosure we are working on, we use the Extrude Entities tool. This tool allows you to extrude entities in different ways, depending on the parameters and options set in the dialog. In this case, we make an extrusion of 6 meters vertically. As a result, we obtain the different vertical and horizontal lines that model the walls of the larger enclosure. We activate the Windows layer to analyze how the model is being enriched. Using all the tools seen above, we modeled all elements of the building structure, such as floors, walls, windows, ceilings, and doors. By hiding the points in the ceiling category, the interior of the building is better appreciated. By hiding different categories of points, you can check whether the features in certain layers correspond to the points in the point cloud. The application is not only useful for drawing or modeling on the point cloud, but also for checking existing models and identifying differences. If we completely deactivate the point cloud, we will only be visualizing the drawing of the structure of the building that we have been creating. The application allows you to export the drawing in a CAD drawing file in DXF or DWG format. Next, we will check that the drawing has been exported correctly. To do this, we first clean up the current drawing, which removes all entities from the CAD drawing. In the layer manager, we see that the drawing is empty and that it only has the default layers. When importing the newly exported drawing, we see the drawing entities on the point cloud again in the viewer. Finally, it should be mentioned that the application can be connected to another application. This connection allows TCP PointCloud Editor to interact with the CAD application, synchronize the drawing, transfer layers between both applications, or establish the same point of view.